being the emptiness, until the only thing that's left of us is the shine. Just like we spread out our individual time so that we spread into eternity. And eternity runs through us, because as the silence comes down to us, and there's a portal for you, the portal that stands between the world of breathing in and breathing out. We breathe it in when we hold that silence just for a moment, and then we breathe it out. We become aware that we have breathed in the silence. We do become the silence without even doing anything. The only thing we all have to do, I think you probably think you've all come for something. I don't know what it may be, but what you've done before you get to something, you have given something away. You have given your time away to this place. You have turned your attention away from the world outside, and you've turned yourself in. You might have only just turned up on a whim today. You might have planned coming here for months. Your attention has turned here, and here we stay for the little while that we are here. Not a bunch of individual people separated by a camera and by time. We are here all together in one single unified consciousness in an act of mutual healing. Big ideas. And while we hold that thought of being the shining emptiness, good evening.
Hello. Sorry,
There is no time here, my friend. We're already in eternity. We performed the first ritual of the Vigil. The Vigil's formed of 4 or 5 short rituals. And the first one we call holding the light. So we are already shining emptiness. Inside us is a light. If you need to imagine what that might look like, here's a little candle for you. This is a physical manifestation. Each of us holds the light inside us. However you perceive that light to be. It could be the light of your intellect, the light of your consciousness, the light of the love in your heart or your passion in your belly. It might even be the sparkle in your eyes as you smile. There's a lovely light. So what we do for just 1 minute, I will ask somebody to hold the light for me. I'm going to ring the bell to open the minute, ring the bell to close the minute. In that minute, while we stand in shining emptiness, we wish that all the beings in all the worlds may be truly in liberty. you so much. The next ritual that we hold is called the act of binding and loosing. And what we do is we hang our gifts on the gates. Now, for many years, we've been coming here and hung white ribbons with names of people believed to be buried here. And as the monthly vigil started, we started hanging just any ribbons, any gifts that we brought. I started noticing that people were a bit bereft when we were doing this bit, because some people didn't bring a ribbon. And so what I started doing, because putting the ribbons on the gates is an act of giveaway, this is what we're doing all the time here. We're giving away. We give away ourselves, our individuality. We give away bits of ourselves. We empty ourselves out, so there is space and room for something else to enter. So my giveaway to everybody became, I started bringing 23 ribbons to be handed out. Would you do that for me, Nick? To be handed out so that you all would have something that you could hand out, that you could hang on the gates. Nick will go amongst you. If there are not 23 ribbons, the people who haven't been able to have a ribbon in reality, please just imagine you've got a virtual ribbon and tie yourselves on the gates. Now, while Nick's doing that, and before we start, I would like to ask you all to help me do something. In particular, as we hang the ribbons on the gates. We've got a friend. Oh, if you want to talk about bending your mind, how's this? One of the people in the Zoom vigil has joined the Zoom from Australia. For him, it's already tomorrow. Now, that man, who for legal reasons I will call Rod King, I met Rod in 2018 on the 23rd of September here at the gates. He had come from Australia on what he called a quest. And his quest was for peace of mind. It was a thing that Rod certainly didn't have on the day I met him. His traumas there were many bits of his traumas that he was working through. But one of the thing that he'd brought to the gates on that night was when he was 16 in 1975, his dear sister, Marge, had felt she had no way to go in the world except by taking herself out of it. And she killed herself. Many years after Marge died, Rob was going through he had found a way to get to authority and was going through her social services paper and her medical papers. And he came across the actual letter that she wrote to her infant son all those years previously to tell him why she was doing what she'd done. Rod had not started, by his own statement, Rod had not started grieving his sister's death, even just 4 years ago. And one of his ways to start the proper grieving process, he felt, was to read this letter out at Crossbones. He didn't feel he could manage it. So during the conversation, I said, well, maybe I would read the letter out if he was happy with that. and he would introduce himself before I read it out. Now, when he stood forward in front of all the people, then he told us another shocking strand to his grief and his trauma. Because 3 months after his sister had committed suicide, Rod, who could no longer stand to be in the world, had tried to commit suicide himself. And he was sent to a psychiatric. Launceston psychiatric unit in Tasmania. He lives in Australia, obviously, I've just told you that. A week, it might have even been a day after he got sent to the psychiatric unit, he was sexually abused by somebody who was a worker there, a professional. And that, I suppose, what we say in this part of the world, that put the tin out on it. Because that closed Rod down. He became an alcoholic. And only all these many years later was he starting to try and crawl his way back. When he first was in Australia and all his friends were saying, "You're too ill," he wasn't a well man. His mental health wasn't strong and he wasn't physically a strong man. He is one of the most amazing men I've ever met, in all honesty. He doesn't really realise that, but he is. And when he was saying, "I'm going to go on a quest to Europe for my peace of mind," all his friends and workers said, "No, you can't. You're not well enough. You can't do it." One single friend said, "If you are going to London, you must go to Crossbones." All these years later, Rod tells me that the ritual he did here at that vigil in 2018 and the Crossbones vigil he did for himself by the side of the river where he committed suicide helped him with 80% of his grief for his sister. But he was still left with the trauma of the abuse that he'd suffered. The man that abused him was sent to jail in 2005 for 6 months for abuse of not only Rod, but of 12 or 13 other young men, lads really. All of the others were Aboriginal boys. 6 months. And when he came out, he changed the title of his profession, and he is still now working with children and with vulnerable adults. But he won't be doing that for long because the law is coming for him. The state of Tasmania is revoking the statute of limitations, and sexual abuse for children will always be answered for. And just in the last few months, the Tasmanian Government Justice Department has interviewed in 2 direct personal response meetings that lasted for about 4 hours, where Rod shed an awful lot of the what he calls toxic poison that was in him. He told them everything that had happened to him, everything that had happened in the past. The law is coming for this man. Now, Rod, because of him speaking to the Tasmanian authorities, he has been given compensation. And most of that money he has given to the other boys that were abused with him. And he plans, after everything's finished with the legal stuff, that he will never speak of his abuse again, and his life will be devoted to helping men and boys who have been abused by this man and by other men. Currently, Rod's got a candle with 2 flames, and he's been burning it for 3 days. The candle is, one flame is for the boys who were abused and their families, who obviously also suffered, and the other candle is for the boys who have already killed themselves and their families. This is what Rod is going to dedicate his life to, helping those young men. Now, he is also going to be hanging 3 different colour ribbons. One is black, one is red, one is white. And to connect us in eternity and in the shining emptiness, that is also what I'll be doing. If when you're hanging your ribbons on the gates and you're doing your act of binding and loosing, if you could spare a thought for Rod King and those boys that suffered with him and the young people who have also been suffering all these many years at the hands of this man, please send a thought into this healing space. Thank you. Now, the act of binding and loosing. We hang our ribbons on the gates, during which we recite what we call an echo prayer. It's not really a prayer, it's really a poem of intent that says what we're doing. There are many of us here who already know it. We're going to repeat it 5 times, and we call it an echo prayer, so that if you don't know it, but you hear a word or 2 or a phrase that you want to say or repeat, then please feel free to echo that back. So I'm going to say it once and then step away, and then we'll repeat it 4 more times. And please step forward as close as you can to that gate. Peek through and see the lovely lights. And feel the silence that emanates from the garden through the gates. This really is a portal. Here lay your hearts, your flowers.
Here lay your heart,
Flowers,
your flowers,
thumbs,
Your fingers, your thumbs, your miss you
there's your
mums.
mums,
Here hang
your-
your
and your
hope,
hopes,
your
Here hang your
dreams,
hopes,
your
dreams,
might have
dreams,
beens,
your might
your
have
might have
beens,
your
beens,
locks,
your
your
locks, your
keys,
keys,
your
mysteries,
mysteries.
your mysteries,
Here lay your
Here lay your
hearts,
hearts,
your flowers,
your
flowers,
flowers,
your book of
your book of
hours,
hours,
your
your
fingers,
fingers,
your
your
thumbs,
thumbs,
your miss
your
you
miss you
mums.
mums,
Here hang your
Here hang
your
hopes,
hopes,
your
your
dreams,
dreams,
your
your
might have
might have
might have
beens,
beens,
your
your
locks,
your
locks,
locks,
your
your
keys,
your
keys,
keys,
your
your
mysteries.
mysteries,
Here lay your
and
hearts,
your
your
hearts,
here
your
lay your
flowers,
hearts,
your book of
your
your
hours,
flowers,
book of
your book of
hours,
your
hours,
fingers, your
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 thumbs,
fingers,
fingers,
your
your miss you
thumbs,
mums.
your miss you
your
mums.
Here
miss you
hang your
mums,
hopes,
Here
your
hang your
and your
dreams,
hopes,
your
your
might have
dreams,
beens,
your might have
your
beens,
your might have
locks,
beens,
your
your
locks,
your
keys,
locks,
your
your
keys,
your
your
mysteries.
mysteries,
Here lay your
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 hearts,
hearts,
your flowers,
hours,
your book of
the book of
hours,
hours,
your fingers,
fingers,
your
your
thumbs,
thumbs,
your miss
your
you
miss you
mums.
mums,
Here hang your
and your
hopes,
hopes,
your
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 dreams,
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 your
your
might
might
have
have
beens,
beens,
your
your
locks,
your
locks,
locks,
your
your
keys,
keys,
your
your
mysteries.
mysteries.
mysteries,
Here hang
Lay your
your
hearts,
hearts,
your
your
flowers,
flowers,
your book of
your book of
hours,
hours,
your fingers,
fingers,
your
your
thumbs,
thumbs,
your
your
miss you
miss you
mums.
mums,
Here hang
here
your
hang your
hopes,
hopes,
your
your
dreams,
dreams,
your
your
might
might
have
have
beens,
beens,
your locks, your
your
keys,
your
keys,
keys,
your
your
mysteries.
mysteries,
Here lay your heart,
Here lay your hearts,
flowers,
your flowers,
book of hours,
book of hours,
fingers,
your thumbs,
your miss you
your
mums.
miss you mums.
Here hang your hopes,
Here hang your hopes,
your dreams,
your dreams,
your might have
your
beens,
might have beens,
your locks,
your locks,
your keys,
your keys,
your mysteries. part of our vigil is called the sacred offerings. It's where we make a space for anybody who wants to offer something to our world. Especially since John retired, because of course John was just ooze goose while he was here. But since John's retired, we have chosen to recite goose words as the introduction, and then to close the sacred offerings again with goose words. But in between, it's not an open mic, but it is a space for you to bring anything that you want to offer to the rest of
We've
this
got
time.
upstairs on
Yeah,
there,
a song, a poem,
because I'm
a
up.
statement
Shall I do
about a loved one,
that? Show notes.
a reason
join me.
why you're here, any reason at all. So if before we start, I could see a bit of a show of hands. So on to day 500, yes. What's your name again? Melissa. And Melissa, does anybody else want to offer anything? Sana? Charlie? Okay, excellent. So we've got 4 or 5. Good. Now, I'm going to say this now quickly before I forget it altogether, because you'll find out why. Shortly before John Constable retired and stopped running the vigils, he formulated a thing he called the MC, the Magical Collective, a group of people who could come and were willing to stand at the gates and be the voice as I am now. The MC Magical Collective, when we're here, we might be a master of ceremonies, we might be a mistress of ceremonies. Personally, we might be a madam of ceremonies, because as far as I'm concerned, I might be too old to be a goose, but I am never going to be too old to be a madam. So, madam of ceremonies. Lockdown happened, and the MC kind of to the 4 winds. Nicholas, who's in the MC, actually now lives in Yorkshire. Mark has gone to university, other people have drifted away. I'm a little old lady and I'm not going anywhere, so I'm last person standing. If anybody feels they would like to join the MC and help bring in the vigil into the world every fantastic. Also, sorry, I was just couldn't resist looking at the car. I just can't resist looking at the cars. Also, when you're doing what I will be doing in just a few moments, which is reciting goose words from memory, words from the Southwark Mysteries, which contains all of the Goose's secret history and 2 plays, but we recite mostly from the mysteries, the channeled poetry of the Goose's mystery. When we recite them by heart, we call ourselves a goose. Rhapsode. Thank goose you're here. We call ourselves a goose rhapsode. If anybody feels drawn to learning one of the Goose's poems, or even a couple of lines of the Goose's poems, to recite here and be a goose rhapsode, then you will be very welcome. Meanwhile, I'm going to do it. I was born a goose of Suffolk by the grace of Mary Overy, whose bishop gives me license to sin within the liberty. In bankside stews and taverns, you can hear me honk right daintily as I unlock the hidden door and veil my secret history. I will dunk you in the river and then reveal my mystery. When almighty city fathers, those great guardians of morality, do ban all gaming, drunkenness and acts of gross effrontery, but though they throw me in the clink or King's Bench or Marshalsea and leave me there to rot, they think, for brazen acts of harlotry, I call upon my bishop as defender of my liberty. And when our lords in Westminster Denounce my impious blasphemy, my gob in the face of all God-fearing servants of his majesty. What? Though they thunder over there, it matters not a fig to me. Over here's the walled without the laws of London city, where whores are subject only to fair Southwark and her liberty. Oh, over there, you'd swear they were the image of propriety, but row 'em over here, dear, and it's all rape and pillage and bondage and buggerage and molly boys, what jolly boys, and goose girls underage. We all have taken liberties and license, dear. We all have to deal with them. We pump them and paddle them, and into bed we squeal with them. Let's all go back the bear. What madcap tomfoolery, if it wasn't in the service of such a pox-ridden majesty. Yes, I've been here before, dear. Oft times in chastened circumstance, I lay with Master Geoffrey at the tabard, making dalliance afore wending on his pilgrimage to tell a tale of Canterbury. And I rode out beside him as the child of Mary Overy went riding for a vision of humanity, man, God, and beast communing for one moment in eternity, and the healing of the sick, and the questioning divinity, what am I to permit such wanton misery? And compassion for all souls who dwell in very shadow of mortality, compelling her to take on very flesh of that infirmity till she's born a crafty whore, stewed in a Southwark hostelry, and using all her wherewithal to take a pilgrim's fancy and lay with him and play with him, and open eyes to see the goddess, who on Judgment Day shall stand by man and make his plea. And I was in that miller's wife who pushed her tush at Absalom, who kissed him many a wench's lips, but Mary's such a hairy one. You don't know me yet, dear. You will, dear, I promise you. I am a tricksy tart, dear. My aim is to astonish you. Bless John Constable Crow. Bless the goose. Thank you for everything that you gave us. Blessed be. Day 500, would you like to come forward?
Yeah.
Excellent, ladies and gentlemen, everybody, day 500.
Day 500 came as a result of me watching a TV programme about the graveyard, and after that I came here, and I was asked to sign a petition to save the graveyard. So I did that.
We will wait because Natalie will come back unless there's been a catastrophic thing. She'll reappear in a minute, I would imagine. That's what normally happens. So we'll just wait and see. These are the vagaries, aren't they, of technology from the outdoor broadcast. Look, Ruth's covered with cats, which is very nice to contemplate while we're waiting. Welcome, everyone. Hopefully we will be able to get back.
Hello, Jackie.
Hello, John. You all right? It's very nice
Yeah,
to
I'm
see
fine.
you.
Lovely to see you.
Thank you.
Deepest condolences for
Oh,
Dennis.
thank you. Thank you.
Mm.
He chose a good date, I think, because Steffi, our old cat, died on the 23rd as well. So that was they both chose a good day.
They did.
23rd of February for her.
Oh,
So,
may she go free.
yeah.
So remember tonight, well, he's still with us, but Steve Radford, who used to come to Crossbones sometimes,
Yes.
he's just had quite a serious heart attack. He's
Oh, no.
so sending thoughts
Yes.
to him. Yeah,
Yeah. No, I'm sorry to hear that.
it was a big shock. Lots of shock.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. It's just that sort of time, it seems.
does.
Oh, here's Natalie coming back. Here we go.
Tried to end her life. And she thought the world of Jason for what he did for her. She now has a partner and 3 children and living a happy and rewarding life. I'm so proud of what Jason did. He was a little miracle worker in some sense. The other thing is I bought a little bit of land in Scotland. And the thing is, they can't build on it and they can't run a road for it. So I've stopped the Scottish government from building a road through the forest. In a minute you'll laugh, but the size of the piece of land is 1 foot square. And also you get a tree. They plant a tree and you can give the tree a name. So I've gave the tree the name of Angriness Brimstone, who's on the end of the gate there. So with that, I think that's about it. So thanks for listening. Brimstone not forgotten.
Brimstone never forgotten.
Would you like to share next?
So I'm Melissa Joe, and I haven't been here for a long time. I used to come regularly, but I've got quite a lot of caring responsibilities at the moment, so I haven't been able to be here. But I've been here in spirit. And but when I used to come, I used to sometimes sing some of the songs from my opera, which is about an 18th century courtesan called Harriet Lewis. And the opera is out, it's birthed, it's in the universe now, so it feels good. And I was just, I felt I would sing something to lighten the mood, which is not my own song. It's a song I learned as a child. So I'm going to sing that, if that's okay. And also have the Scots bonnet, which is the right thing to be wearing. Oh, the bairns are a greeting and the sink is a leaking and you're standing in the pub where your youngest heart and special and you say you're educating all the younger generation with your left-wing politics and that's a fact. I ken I'm your wife, but I'm no be a skivvy. You may be a man, but what can you give me? Cuts in the money. Cuts and bruises, that's no the story for a bloody life of glory. Well, you say the best solution is a left-wing revolution, but your drinking money is pocket, pay the family allowance. All your marks and all your cleaning, doesn't help me with the spinning, and I've had to put my wedding ring into the porn. I ken I'm your wife, but I'm no be a skivvy. you may be a man. Well, what can you give me? Cats in the money, cuts and bruises. That's no the story for a bloody life of glory. Well, I really can't take it. So you're going to have to make it on your own. Because I'm going with the parents and our belongings. And I'll maybe go to Maggie's or to Effie's or to Aggie's. Because I got a lot of sisters that will help me through.
For lightening the mood for us, excellent, good woman yourself. Now, who have we got? Charlie.
Oh, yes.
Charlie Fuller-on-Shoe, I'm going to introduce. When John produced the play of the Southern Mysteries, the mystery play, when it first went out in 2000, John Constable was John Crow, obviously. When it came out in 2010, John Constable was God. And Charlie Fuller-on-Shoe was John Crow.
Indeed, thank you very much. Thank you, cheers. God, what can I say about John Crow? It's fantastic to do up at Southwark Cathedral. A great day I had on April 23rd, which is Shakespeare's birthday and St. George's Day. Yeah, absolutely. And
Oh, and Shakespeare's birthday.
absolutely. And it's Death Day as well, is it? Pretty sure. Yeah. And well, I have to say that being as I am, I'm pretty proud that day. Ask me why, I'll tell you. But,
Why?
well, it goes way back. You know, how old was I then? About 40 odd. So, you know, mixed feelings, should I say, about being from St. George in some ways. Use imaginations, mixed feelings. But still, I was very proud that day. I really was. Talk about reclaiming that day. Really great day. But I had a great time at Southern Mysteries. Three periods of time: medieval, Christ time, and the actual TFL time, 1996 times. Great stuff, great communities, and great feeling. But I do want to talk about a guy called Neil McDevitt, who had passed earlier this year. A great poet, great cheeky maverick, great spirit, rebel spirit poet, who used to do a lot of poetry about Blake, on Blake's behalf. He used to do quite a bit in Shoreditch Park, and also used to do a lot of remembrance about Ewan McCall as well. Very, very strong in that. So must remember Neil McDevitt. Look him up. I don't really have any poem to give you. I wish I did actually, but yeah, just his spirit. He's a very kindred spirit, and may his soul rest in peace, because he was very much part of this whole group and this connection. So I'd like to remember Neil McDevitt, and yeah, that's it really.
Susanna, did Susanna want to say something?
Try and get some facts together. Just a bit of history. I was researching the files that were the beginning of this is still the Crossbones Graveyard campaign. And I came across it. It's always surprising, because even though I've read the letters a long time ago, you reread them and you suddenly remember something that you'd forgotten that was significant. And one of the letters was from the Museum of London in 1990. And it was a letter written to the Oxford archaeological team. And the letter stated that they understood that the Oxford archaeological team had exhumed human remains on this site without a Home Office order, and that it was a known medieval burial site. So basically what the Museum of London was doing was it was calling into account the fact that a professional body was exhuming human remains from this site, knowing it was a burial ground and not following the protocol. It took until 2005 for the Museum of London to get a Home Office order allowing them to exhume bodies from this site. But that was not before a significant number of bodies had been taken out, and bones were for sale in the Ewer Street railway arches to people that wanted to go and maybe be interested in buying some human bones. Bones and skulls were for sale. I just think it's really important to remember that you make an assumption when you come here that everything may have happened as it should have happened. But even in 1990, permission was provided by the owners of the land to allow bodies to be dug up without the proper protocols. And I think we have to remember this fight is ongoing to save that happening again in the future.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sana. It's really important to remember that these things are not necessarily over. Sana leads This is still the Crossbones Graveyard campaign and has for many years worked very hard, as well as John Constable and the Friends of Crossbones, to save the garden. Still the Crossbones Graveyard campaign wants the garden to belong to the local community in perpetuity, so it will never be in danger again. Personally, I congratulate Sana on her dedicated and not very often noted work. Is there anybody else that during the time people have been standing here that you feel that you might want to say something? In that case, I'm going to close with what I hope is going to be a rousing chorus of John Crow's riddle. There's lots of you who know the words. Charlie, don't turn your back. So I'll expect everybody who knows it to join in and help me. And it's kind of simple enough that even if you don't know it, you'll find yourself able to join in. Are you ready? John Crow with a reveal his mystery in London
Down at the end of time.
Go down on history.
John Crow in Cathedral
Cathedral Yard.
gives a prophecy
Prophecy.
Here, last wild card.
Card.
and her liberty.
Let's see.
The
The hate
Johnny Jack Crow and his merry band of outlaws. Oh,
Now
stumble when he trips.
ho, ho, ho. Crow is the body
Ruthless
ruthless.
shaman. Oh,
kicking loose heels as the rank weeds grow. Wild in our
Southwark Haven.
Oh, on the guard. And he shot on a map of
Of
infinity,
infinity.
where God
God
delights.
delights is more
In the brazen
than hall.
than in the
The
wine.
wife in a pinch faced chastity. Paddy Whack gives the bottle black John Crow was a hollering.
In the sack on your back, give the
give
skull a
skull
good crack, see if it's a hollow.
hollow.
Click, clack,
Clack,
click,
click,
clack,
clack, don't look back
to see if
death's
death's
a following.
Now they
They
are
are
told
tolling the bell
that lay at
for the tabard.
and
And well we know how the carrion crow doth feast in our
Crossbones graveyard.
and of outlaws of
Oh, never
Never
stumble
stumble
when he
trips
trips
mad cloud of the Jolly Jack Crow and his merry band of outlaws. Oh, never stumble when he trips mad cloud of the
pocket.
Hey ho. Jack and his
Merry, merry
band
band
of
of outlaws.
outlaws.
We sing it. Before we close with our last ritual, I'd like to do a bit of research. When you go home, find out what the word whore originally meant. Something else to blow your minds. Now, we come to the end and the closing of our ritual. What we do now is we come as close as ever we can to the gates. We traditionally hold on to the gates, so either touch the gates or touch somebody who's touching the gates. And we say 2 blessings, the blessing of the Cobble Cross and the blessing of the Goose blessing. And I will need to ask somebody to seal us in with the gin. It's not going to be Gin Jen, because Gin Jen's busy being the madam. Who can seal? Natalie's going to do 2 jobs at once. I should just explain again. Each of the blessings, I will say a couple of words or a phrase, and you will repeat it back to me.
Oh, maybe. We're in.
We're all together.
Where's Nick?
Life,
Life,
Life.
health,
Health.
happiness,
Happiness.
Happiness.
Open pathways.
Life.
Life.
Health.
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 Happiness.
happiness,
Open pathways.
open pathways,
health in the body,
Health in the
body.
peace in the spirit,
Peace in the
spirit.
spirit.
in the heart,
Love in the heart.
in the body,
Health
in the body.
peace in the spirit,
Peace in the spirit.
Love in the
Love
heart.
in the heart.
this that we wish
It is this that we
for
wish
ourselves,
for ourselves,
friends and family,
for our friends and family,
all our brothers and sisters,
For
all
all
our
our
brothers and sisters,
for the goose and the crow,
for the goose and the crow,
and for all humanity.
and
for
for
all
all
humanity.
humanity.
This that we wish
It is this that we wish
for ourselves,
for ourselves,
families,
for our friends and families,
all our brothers and sisters,
for all our brothers and sisters,
goose and the crow,
for the
goose
goose and the
and the
crow,
and for all humanity.
and
And
for
for
all
all
humanity.
May it be so.
May it be so.
And the last blessing of the night. Goose, may you never be hungry.
Goose, may you never be hungry.
Goose, may you never be thirsty.
Goose, may you never be thirsty.
Goose, may your spirit fly free.
Goose, may your spirit fly free.
And so she does, everybody. And
so she does.
So she does.
Open pathways.
Yay.
Yay.
Goose is loose.
The goose is
The
loose
goose
at
is
liberty.
the goose is indeed loose. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming and joining us here on our goose night. Thank you for coming, John Crow and Katie Chaos. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Thank you to Rod, Mr. King. Thank you for everything you do for the boys and the young men and the vulnerable people. Before we go, I've got 2 notices. I'll be back. This was John Crow's pirate act.
Hey.
It is currently taking its part as a collection box, and we're going to be passing it around amongst you. If you feel you would like to donate, please pop something in to help with the expenses of the vigil. My other notice is that Vigil Auntie, the newsletter of the vigil is being sent out now. The first one has already gone out. If you want to receive the first one, or indeed all the rest as they come once a month, please feel free to put your name on the list that's on the shrine there. If anybody from the Zoom vigil wants a vigil auntie sent to you via email, please either tell Jackie and she will tell me, or find me somehow. I'm on Facebook, I'm on WhatsApp, and send me your e-address. That's it.
Oh,
Good night.
Thank you,
Yay,
Jennifer.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Well hosted.
Lovely. Thank you, Natalie.
Thank you.
Yay. Goose.
There we are. Here we are again. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Would anyone like to share anything before we end? Because we don't get a chance to share, do we? So would anyone like to? It's fine not to, but I like us to have the
Yes.
space.
Yeah, I would.
Yes, Kat.
This is 6 years since I actually attended a Crossbones live, which is why I was waving my goose feather.
Oh,
Yay.
Which, whose motto on it is change.
Oh, I remember those.
Today is the 101st day of my life as a sufferer of long COVID.
Gosh.
It's changed my life, as you can imagine. And a lot of people here who know me at various events know I used to try and come to everything I could, even though I was already hobbling around the stick. But these days I can't. So I just want to express such gratitude that you're doing Zoom events, that you're letting the disabled, the housebound, all us crips and chronics, and in my case, cyborgs, there's a chunk of titanium holding my neck bones together.
Goodness.
Oh,
Which is
wow.
a whole other story. So I just want to express gratitude for being able to participate in this. So thank you all. And
Thank
the
you.
spirit of the goose lives in Hebden Bridge too.
oh,
Yay.
yay.
She does. Thank you.
Lovely to
Kat.
see you, Kat.
It
You
is
too, John. Missed
lovely.
you, mate.
Miss
How's
you too, mate.
Katie? Good to see you
Hey.
too.
Yeah, all good. Good.
So lovely. Thank you, Kat. It feels important to carry on all the things we started during lockdown. That's why we carried on, because it's so easy just for everyone to go off and go, oh well, we're all
Yeah,
fine now. And it's not like that, is it? Because we're including people who weren't included before, and we
Yeah,
shouldn't all just then decide to
Stop
exclude.
doing that. Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm just going to sling up a link to the thing I wrote and posted yesterday, because I wrote something of
Fabulous.
a cri de coeur on the subject.
How
So
fabulous. I am pleased. I would
you.
gladly read that. Thank you.
And again,
That.
thank you all for continuing this honourable.
Thank you.
tradition.
Oh,
We will
yeah.
definitely be doing that. And it means people from Australia like Rod can be here. So, you know, it's so
Excellent.
important that people everywhere can come, and it feels very important. So thank you, Kat, for saying that.
Thank
And
you so much.
thank you everyone for being here. It's very, very wonderful and very lovely for me personally to be able to be here on Solid Dennis's death day, because it's the place where I would always, if I was in London, I would have gone to Crossbones. And it feels so important to be able to gather here with everyone. So thank you for that.
Yeah,
And thank you to everyone who's watching on Facebook also, because there have been about 6 or 7 people also on Facebook, so who don't come into the Zoom. So there's a lot, there's a lot of people watching. So I'm very grateful to everyone who watched.
Thank you, Jackie, for keeping this all going and
yes, thank you.
Thank
grow
you.
into something else. It's lovely.
Thank you.
Thank you to Ruth's cat.
Thank you to Ruth's cat. Yes, a very lovely
It's all
presence.
calm.
We must have cat presence at all times,
Yeah.
and now Cat's here as well as the other cat. There's lots of
Yeah,
cats.
cool.
Well,
This is
there
what
was
we
two
need.
cats at one point, but
I saw
the other one
two.
was meowing piteously while
know,
this
they
one
do
was
that.
sitting on my lap.
They
Just
do
felt
that.
neglected and he was meowing.
Oh,
But he's very heavy, so if I've got
Yeah.
two of them, it can
oh,
be
bless your
quite
heart.
something when I've got them both sitting
Bless your
like
heart.
basically on my neck and shoulders.
Nice and warm.
Oh yeah.
I'm going to stop recording because I've been recording, so I'm going to stop that. Bye bye, Facebook. I'll stop the live stream as well in a second.